I was literally an influencer, like getting paid to do this stuff in high school. I posted for Victoria's Secret. I posted for Puma.
What? Okay, yes. Sorry, Victoria's Secret Angel.
I come from a place where, like, if a girl got a degree or a job, it was, just in case.
Yeah, just in case
your husband dies.
The husband keels over.
And then to watch you transition into this, like, boss A B. We are in Hawaii right now. Yes. And that's where Heather currently resides.
What about you guys? You guys moving back?
Hi.
Hey, it's Sarah and Lo Beeston, your Fairly Odd Sisters.
Woo!
Yeah! Please don't make me do it again.
Welcome back to the Fairly Odd Sisters, you guys. We're back, and we're with our very first guest, and we couldn't be more stoked because it's our best friend, Heather Goodman, HBGOODie.
You probably know her.
You probably know her already. And we're so excited because this is our first guest, and she's our number one. She was the reason that we catapulted into this life, I feel like, anyway. And so to have her be our first guest just makes sense. And we're going to dive deep. She's a business owner. She's a mom. She's everything in between. So we're going to start it off, and I'm going to open it up to you to kind of tell us just little tidbits about yourself so that they can, if they haven't heard of you, kind of just little.
Okay. Well, I feel like that was a pretty good intro.
Yeah.
But I have a swimsuit company. That's like the main thing I do. And I'm a mom of 2 little girls. And what else do I do? I live.
You know facts.
I know lots of fun facts about scorpions. Do you want to hear it?
She is our Wikipedia friend. That's kind of one of the things that stands out about Heather is that every time we're doing anything or we need to know something, she will spit out random facts faster than anyone I've ever seen.
It's quite unbelievable.
I'm a nerd.
I really don't know where she gets, like, it'll be the most random thing we're talking about, and Heather goes, well, actually, so this and this and this, and we're just like, how do you know this? Like, literally, when did you learn this?
She just told me that scorpions can hold their breath for 48 hours?
No, 6 days.
See, I already forgot, but she knows this.
They can be in the water for 48 hours.
Okay. Yeah. In the water.
They can hold their breath
for 48 hours.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why I needed to know that, but she knows that. She knows things.
She taught me scorpions can go a year without eating food. So
yeah. I mean, I read that on a random Google
I promise you guys,
that's true.
On this podcast, you will learn from her.
You will learn.
You will learn. If nothing else.
If nothing else, you will learn.
Fun facts the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Heather's the best. And we're going to talk about how we met.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've talked about this before, and it felt like kind of one day we weren't
no
friends,
meeting period,
and then all of a sudden we were best friends, like immediately.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was thinking about it today. I was like, we've been friends for, I was like 7 years. I was like, it's only been 7 years. Why does that seem so small?
I know.
I feel like we've been friends for like 20 years.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
When I first heard of Heather, you guys were doing your Wander workshop together.
The Wander workshop.
Like that was like my only experience of like hearing about Heather was like, oh, I'm doing a workop with this influencer girl who travels and she's super cool, and I like saw her profile and I was like, whoa, I was like, she's huge. Like it was really cool. But that's kind of the first time I heard about Heather was you guys doing that.
I had seen Heather's pictures on Instagram before I even moved to Hawaii, and I thought she was just like the coolest girl I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like
she's are nice.
So beautiful. And then just she's a photographer, and she's so freaking talented, and the way that she, like, all her photos were just like bomb, like it was just like the peak of Instagram bomb photos. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this girl is so cool. And then one day I was at the beach, and like all these girls were sitting there that were so cute, and Heather was one of the girls, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so good to meet you. And at the time I was a full-time videographer, and so I think we kind of bonded over like, oh, you were still doing
like weddings,
a little bit of
stuff.
Like that stuff with photo. And I was just like, oh yeah, da da da. But it was like that night Heather was like, hey, we're doing a game night, like you should come over. And I was like, yes, because me and Tanner had no friends. We had just moved to Hawaii and didn't know anybody, and I was like, yes, we need to make friends. It was like dating almost, like we were like dating for friends.
I feel like though I literally don't think we ever had a period of like, so like, where are you from?
Oh no,
you want to hang out on Tuesday at 4?
No,
like I literally was just
friends.
instant.
Yeah, like it was like you invited me to that game night, and then all of a sudden I was like, I would text you and just be like, what doing? Like, let's go. Let's go to the beach.
You know? Signature. What doing?
What doing? What doing?
A woman of few words.
Yes.
What doing? Get
the
over
shorter the
here.
better.
I come now.
Yeah. And then after that, I feel like you were just like all of this knowledge and you just had this like very abundance mentality, and you didn't ever like gatekeep anything. Like you were just very like open with how you, like when I met you, I think you had what, like 20,000 followers.
I have
maybe.
no idea.
I don't know. Like I feel like, but to me at the time I was like, I've never, like this is a celebrity. This is a full on celebrity.
I need to come on this podcast more often.
Literally.
Myself
No, I'm serious.
I think we all thought that.
I'd never met somebody with like a following on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that to me was just like, holy cow, like she knows what she's doing. And you were just so talented, and everything you did, I just felt like turned to
You're
gold.
so nice.
And so I like, yeah.
I feel like we literally spent like so many beach days of me convincing everyone, like, guys, you just got to post on Instagram. You can make money. Like, Maddie, you don't have to be a waitress anymore.
Yeah. That was literally you. Like you told everyone, like, everyone can do this. Like there's room for everyone at the table. Like you always were encouraging everyone to just like do it.
Well, I think a big misconception amongst like our friend group, people call us like the Hawaii moms or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think a big misconception is people think that we were all friends because we were influencers. Yeah. And that's like completely not true.
No.
Like Heather was like the OG influencer, and then she again was like convincing everybody to like start posting on your feeds and do this. Like it's such a fun thing.
Because like
and,
Maddie would be like, oh, like I love recipes, and I'm like, post them.
Yeah.
Like put yourself out there. Or like
Yeah.
Lo was obviously doing videos. Like, Lo, you need to put your videos out there.
Yeah.
So it kind of became that way where everyone started doing influencing. Heather kind of pushing the boat, you know?
Yeah.
And then
showing us the way.
but we were all like still best friends, and then everyone was influencing, and then people are like, oh, they're just friends because of that. And it's like, that's
I feel like
not
though
true.
that's like why we're such good friends, is because we became friends before anyone became an influencer, but also before we like all had kids too.
Yes.
And like I feel like as an adult, it's so hard to make friends, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's like most people make friends because our kids are the same age.
Hanging out. Yeah.
But we had all that beforehand, and so we just like lucked out that we all like kind of went in the same direction.
Yes.
Also, can we talk about how Heather was basically one of the first people to do like presets?
Oh,
if you've
yes.
heard about that?
Oh my
Like,
gosh, you were.
I feel like India Earl was like the first person that I knew, and she like was convincing me to do it.
Yes.
But
You were very
that was back in
successful
the
with
day.
that.
Presets were like the thing.
And your presets are so good still to
you're
this
so
day.
nice.
I remember the trip that Lauren and I, our first trip that Lo and I took was to Costa Rica, and I had your presets on my computer, and I used them for the entire thing, and I was like,
And that was before I met you.
I don't think I had met you yet. And I
She
literally
didn't move
I
out to the next
I
day.
did it
was
because I
because-
remember Lo telling me about the trip, but I didn't know you.
And I think we were using them on your computer actually.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
I had all of them, too.
And I like tried all of them out.
good.
It like
That's funny.
sparked artistry.
I
in
look
my
back at like old
photography.
pictures I edited. I'm like, ugh.
No,
But-
it's such a.
I think
I
it's just
feel like
things
there's
are just
such a
trendy.
time for
Yeah.
an era.
Such a
You know,
trend.
there was a time for
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
And so, when do you feel like you considered yourself an influencer, or like when did you feel like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like I'm making money from this?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, I was like a wedding photographer for so long, and then I kind of noticed like with posting on Instagram, like anything that had me or like me and Bryant in it always just performed so much better. And it was so fun to just share my everyday life. And I didn't like love weddings. I always loved photography, but weddings were like really stressful for me. What I really loved was like brand photography. And so I kind of started to do more like photos for brands as a photographer, not like as an influencer, but I would mix it in with my personal life. And I think just over time, like brands started to notice like those kind of things coming together of like, oh, she shares her life, but also shoots like really pretty like brand photos.
Yeah.
And I feel like that kind of just morphed into like what influencers are now of just like, hey, we'll pay you money to take pictures of our swimsuit and then post it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like turned into that. Okay, but you guys want to know actually something so crazy?
Yeah.
I was literally an influencer like getting paid to do this stuff in high school.
No way.
Yes. I like was I was super obsessed with like fashion bloggers. And there's this website called Lookbook, and you would just like take pictures of your outfits and post it on there and like tag where everything was from. Like if it was
You're
thrifted,
such
you
an
would be
OG.
like Goodwill, like this, whatever. And I literally posted on that in high school and had brands. Like I posted for Victoria's Secret, I posted for Puma.
What?
Okay, sorry, Victoria's Secret Angel.
Oh yeah.
Why are we just hearing about
No,
this?
isn't that crazy though? Yeah, and like I feel like that kind of like faded away as I like became more of a photographer, but I like remembered that. I was like, wait a second, I
crazy.
like was influencing.
You
Wait,
were.
so
That long
when do
ago.
you feel? Who was your like inspiration for this? Because I feel like you were this like knowledge source for all of us who like had no idea, but you like who were you trying to, like, you weren't learning from it. You were just doing it.
Yeah, and how did you learn all of this?
I feel like I was a big Tumblr girl. Okay. I feel like that's kind of like, I like a lot of icon kind of people were on Tumblr. So I feel like that's where a lot of it came from, is I just followed so many like photographers or like European girls. I feel like it was a very European thing to do, like the outfit posting. And I feel like that's how I found out about like the lookbook website. But yeah, I would say Tumblr.
Yeah,
definitely like your big Tumblr girl.
I mean, pictures of you even in high school, you had very like unique style choices and like old photos.
And you were into that photography thing already.
I was super into like fashion and stuff, like dressed so weird. But honestly, I look back at some of my outfits, I'm like, that was a slay. Like I would wear that now.
I remember you like the one in a hippie skirt or something that I'm like, oh my gosh.
I have a crazy story about that skirt.
No, tell us.
Okay, so I wore that forever ago. Like literally, I was probably like 16 wearing that skirt, and that picture like went all over Pinterest.
We should post that picture with the video.
Yes,
okay, I'll send it to you guys.
You can see it.
If you're watching this
literally
on YouTube.
like 6 months ago, a friend reached out to me, like an old friend, and she was like, "Look what I found!" And it was like a skirt I had like given it away.
No,
and I have the skirt now. The skirt from that photo.
Wait, that's iconic.
I know.
Do you
I
wear it, or do you just keep it in like a special little box?
I've been saving it because I was like,
skirt.
oh, I need to like get a T-shirt and retake the photo.
Oh,
I just like have been putting it off.
I
but
love
like,
that.
yeah, like I'm like, how did that skirt like come back to me after all these
that's
years?
That's a sisterhood of the traveling skirt right there. The magic found you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing.
You want to know what other thing? This is kind of random, but I really think it's iconic. While we're talking about retaking photos, Heather retook her bridal photos, and I felt like that was the most bomb iconic thing you could do, because I feel like there are so many people that hate their like bridals and their wedding photos, and you literally got dressed up again with Bryant and redid those photos. And
well, you know why? It's because when we got married, we both, like, Bryant had been living in England, I had been living in Utah. We were so pasty and like not a highlight in our hair. And like both of us, you know, a little
just don't look how you used to look.
Yeah, we just, well, and like I feel like that's not how we looked before, and it's not how we look now. And I was like, I look at our bridals, I'm like, that just doesn't look like us.
It's not your vibe.
And so we like retook them because it's like, and I'm glad we did, because I think if I tried to take them now, I'm like too old. Like I'm too old and like have kids. Like I don't know. I just
it was the perfect
time to do it. Yeah, where we still looked like, I feel like young enough to like, that's when we got married.
Anyway, we could go on and on. Heather's like our best friend, so
nice.
but we have like
we could talk forever.
Some good questions to ask her.
Yes.
So
okay.
we'll get,
I guess,
should I be scared?
Wait, should we start out first with the anniversary that is today?
Oh yes.
Oh my gosh.
We were actually gonna open with this, and then
we need
forgot.
to talk about this because I think it's a very special day. It's a very special day for Heather.
Special
We
anniversary.
got her little 2 cupcakes.
Oh my
like
gosh,
put them on a plate. Why didn't we?
Happy boobiversary.
Boobiversary. All right, Heather, tell them what day it is.
Well, I was looking at my phone. It's December 10th. I got a boob job 2 years ago, exactly.
Today.
Yeah.
Can we have a clap in the building?
Yeah.
I love that snaps.
We got 2 new additions to the family.
Yeah, and I feel like I get to really celebrate them because I was pregnant in between.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm finally a little bit back to normal.
Yeah.
So
They're very
They're
bomb.
very
we
bomb.
see them, and I have seen them naked, actually.
I've seen them. And they're nice.
why have you seen them naked? What did we do recently?
Okay, so
wait.
long story short,
the weirdest experience of our life.
we did a girls' night. It was a massage thing in like this little tiny place in Honolulu. Just while we
It was
were
a
here.
Korean spa.
A Korean spa, yeah. And everybody was naked, which
was the best.
honestly I didn't know going into it.
we all walked in and then just everyone's like buck nude. I was like, oh, that's what we're
It was
doing.
a little bit
what
of
we're
a
doing.
jump scare.
Yeah.
And they kind of paired us off because they could only do us in 2s. And Heather and I literally spent the entire date together walking
Our
around
husbands
naked
were a little jealous.
in this spot. And we literally sat on these like lawn chairs just sitting there together naked for like an hour. Anyway,
Really dissecting.
Okay, but massaged by literal 80-year-old
It was,
grandmas.
but it was like
Wearing
the best
The best
experience.
massage I've ever gotten, but
So
the
good.
weirdest experience.
Weirdest experience.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it.
it was kind of like an underground thing. And they had like tables with plastic. So they really just like hosed you down.
Yeah.
Like
It was a wet massage. I've never experienced
Yeah, like
anything
just like
that.
water, then scrub. It was like
And they
wild-
were literally grandmas wearing underwear.
It was
like
so-
lingerie.
Yes.
I feel like us telling this, like you probably don't believe us, but we're being truthful.
No, Korean people are probably like, that's normal. What are
That's
you
so
talking
normal.
about?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like it was actually the coolest, best experience.
Yeah.
And it was so such a fun girls' night, but it was a jump scare because we just didn't know what to expect.
Yes.
And so then, like, when we were just in there and like, okay, this is happening, like, we just have to, it was so funny. And they wash your hair, gave us a facial. It was wild.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Honestly, very luxurious.
Anyway, back to the boobs.
Back
they
to the
are
boobs.
wonderful.
That's why you guys saw them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
Happy
amazing.
boobiversary.
Happy boobiversary, Heather.
Thanks.
Do you still feel good about your boobiversary? Your boobs?
I do. I'm glad I got them.
Good.
I was kind of not loving it for a while, being pregnant and nursing. I just felt so huge.
Do you feel like they grew a lot while
oh
you
my
were
gosh,
nursing?
I just felt huge, like all over.
Yeah.
And postpartum's just a weird period.
It's a weird time.
But now that I'm coming up on like a year mark, I'm starting to feel like, okay, I'm feeling like myself. I'm feeling a little more normal.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love them.
It is interesting though.
I love them.
I love them.
Yeah,
I
you
can't
love
lie.
them.
I love them.
Yeah. It's interesting though because I feel like one of the many reasons I got a boob job was like, oh, I want to like fit clothes better. But I feel like I'm almost on the opposite end of the spectrum now where like sometimes I wish they were a
I
little
know
smaller.
that all too well.
Yeah.
Let's just say.
Yeah.
I've had
Sarah-
both. I
Sarah's
got a
on the opposite-
reduction.
Yeah, Sarah's the opposite end of this.
Yeah.
I am. And
It's
I
too
know
bad
that
reduction people can't donate to
Yeah.
people
literally.
like the people like me, the less
I would
fortunate.
have gladly given my 3 pounds of boobs that they took out to you. Like,
Yeah,
I would love to
yeah.
donate to one of my friends
Yeah.
that wants bigger
Yeah.
boobs. They don't do it. They just ship them away and test them for cancer. So
That's it.
that's
I
all
think the
that
perfect
happens.
size though is like a B cup because
Yes.
now that I'm like
I
on the
agree.
opposite end, I'm kind of like, oh, now like there's other things I don't fit well.
I agree with that.
So-
My mom was actually the one
Yeah.
that convinced me to do a C, and I was like, no, it's too big. I don't want it. And I stand by my word. Sorry, Mom. I think B cups are the best.
Yeah, B cup is like
B cup
the
over
world
here.
is like works for
It works for everything.
yeah.
You
yeah.
fit in everything.
The world surrounds the B
Yes.
cups of the world. So if you have a
Yeah.
B cup, appreciate it.
Appreciate that,
That's
B.
me, baby.
Lauren over here.
This is perfect boobs over
Oh,
here.
no, they're definitely mom boobs, but it's fine. Okay, so do you still consider yourself an influencer now that you've become a business owner? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I guess my question is like, do you like being an influencer and do you still consider yourself?
yeah. So like I would say I love content creation.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll always like document my life in some form. I love photography, obviously. I even like creating videos. Like I do like documenting my life. But like for sure over the last couple of years, I really started getting burnt out. I mean, obviously I've been doing it for a long time.
Yes.
I kind of started getting burnt out with like the ads side of things. And I do feel like the industry changed a lot. I'm sure you guys can attest to this of like, I feel like brands used to hire me because they were like, oh, we love you. We love your vibe. Like, you know your followers well. Like, take our product and we'll see what you can create. And I feel like now it's like brands are kind of just picking people based on like, oh, you have a following, but we need you to say this, this, and this, and this, and this. We don't care about your followers. We don't care what your vibe is.
Yeah.
We like want you to follow this script.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I just feel like I felt a shift and I felt like it wasn't me anymore. And a couple years ago, we started our brand Sun Bleach. So that's my swimsuit brand. If you never heard of me before. And as I was doing that, I was just feeling so much more like fulfilled and I really loved it. And at one point, like me and Bryant looked at like our finances at the end of the year and we were like, we make like 2/3 of our income from this, 1/3 of our income from this, but I'm spending like 90% of my time on like ads. And like a lot of people are like, oh, it's just ads. And like, don't get me wrong, it is like a good job. I'm not going to complain about like doing ads, but it is so much more time consuming, I think, than people realize. Like it was taking up all my work hours and I didn't love it. And I was like, wait, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm spending so much time on this and like my business really has like a shot of like making it and being good. So I kind of made that transition this year. I kind of started like tapering off. And then like this fall, I was like, okay, like I'm done. I'm not going to take any more ads and we're just going to like see where this goes and just put all of our time into Sun Bleach.
And do you feel like that has been worth it for you to step away?
Mental health through the roof. Like, yeah. I feel like anyone who's in the content creation social media world just understands that like no matter how much you love it, like it's hard on the mental health.
It takes a toll.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you on what you said about the brands. Even like since I feel like I started and you started, like I started working with like smaller brands and it was just like I had so much creative freedom to like do more ads of like how I wanted to do them. And sometimes it does feel like they're just hiring you because you have a certain engagement or a number. And it doesn't feel authentic to like what
Yes.
you're saying, and you're like, if you would just let me
Yes.
be myself.
I love when brands are like,
Yes,
we
like-
trust you and we
Yes.
know what you do, and we're like,
Oh.
yes,
And-
thank you.
it
brands
will
that are like that
perform
make you
better.
get it.
Yeah.
Like, and they
there
always
are
do
still
better.
some, but
They-
there's
yeah.
some that they're
Yeah,
just like
totally.
say
There
this,
are
and you're like,
awesome brands out there.
I wish that, and I feel like honestly, it's more the bigger brands, like the name
Yeah.
brand stuff. Like, I'm not gonna name names, but like the bigger brands that are like
Yeah.
making it so ad-like, and I'm like, no
Yeah.
one wants to sit there and watch this from
No,
me.
I feel like at
they-
that point you might as well just like pay me to run a commercial
Exactly.
on my page. Like it's
Exactly.
not me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the reason influencing was so successful in the beginning is because people felt like they were getting a recommendation from a friend.
Exactly.
And now it's turned into like, here's entertainment and a commercial like wedged in
Yeah.
between it.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
And people don't
Yeah.
understand too that when, especially when we're both working with brands, there's so much back and forth on like,
Yeah.
can we put this? And then sometimes they'll be like, no, you can't do that. And we're like, well, no, we want to do that. And it's
Yeah.
like a push and pull with the brand.
Yeah.
And you're like, but we always just want our followers to feel like we're being genuine, which is hard when they're telling you to like say,
and you're
certain
like
things.
on contract. And
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like there's things I really love about it, and like maybe after a long break I could go back to it a little bit, but for now
you seem
I'm good.
like you're in a really
Yes.
good place.
yeah, I feel like very
Like a
happy
weight
with
has
how things
been
are.
lifted
Yeah,
off of you.
yeah,
And
And
you're
your
just
company's
thriving.
thriving.
Yeah,
I mean,
we can go back to
your
Sun.
company-
I want to go back to Sun Bleach because
Yeah.
I want you to share like what inspired you to start Sun Bleach, and do you still feel the same way about it today? Like, do you still feel
Yeah.
that same inspiration today?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I honestly was trying to start it like 5+ years ago. Like, it's like a long story of just like, I just knew nothing about the fashion industry or manufacturing or anything, but I knew that I like love swimsuits. I shot for I shot for so many swimsuit brands back in the day, and I was like living in a swimsuit, you know, and it just like made so much sense. But it just took me so long to get to the point where I was actually getting samples back from manufacturers that I really liked. But wait, sorry, what was the question?
What was your inspiration to start it?
So I think my inspiration was just kind of a mix of like, I love swimsuits, I love fashion, like, right, like I had been doing like fashion related things for a long time. I love art, like I love drawing and
Yes.
designing, and I love photography. And so a swimsuit brand really just brought together like all of those things.
All of your loves.
And yeah, and I loved shooting. I love the idea of like shooting for my brand because I can just
Yes.
do whatever I want. And like, I feel like that's like where I really thrive in our brand is like
Yeah.
making the content for it, because
Yeah.
it's just like so much creative freedom.
You're
and I
so
can make
good
it
at
If you
exactly
didn't
how
know,
I want.
Heather literally takes all the photos for Sun
Yes.
Bleach,
Yeah.
and they are bomb.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so nice.
So good. Like, she's not hiring out someone. She literally goes out there, gets a bunch of girls that she knows or she messages, and then she
Yeah.
goes and shoots all of her suits. And I think it's
Yeah.
you're just like a businesswoman, like killing it out there, a
You're so
mom.
nice.
It's very inspiring to me.
You're so nice.
With there being so many like swimsuit brands, it's like a saturated, like so many things are so saturated.
Yeah.
Going into starting your swimsuit brand, like what sets you apart and what makes you successful? Because, you know, like going into saturated, it's hard. Like you're
Yeah,
like, there's a lot of
totally.
brands that are swimsuits, but like
Totally.
what sets you apart? What do you feel like
Yeah, I
gives
mean,
you that edge?
I feel like kind of what you were saying earlier, like I feel like I have had like more of an abundance mindset with like a lot of things of just like there's always room at the table, and I feel like I carried that into swimsuits. And I also just think about like it's not like people only buy from one swimsuit brand. Like I own swimsuits. I mean, now I mostly own my own swimsuits, but like throughout my life, like I own swimsuits from lots of different brands. And so I feel like that is comforting to know that like you don't have to convince people to like only buy from you
Yeah.
forever.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a smorgasbord.
But I would say a smorgasbord, your favorite word. But I feel like what kind of us different is I really try. I mean, we are trying to be like sustainable and use like recycled material, ethical. Like that's a big deal to me. The actual swimsuits themselves, because I shop for so many swim brands, I found like there was this really big disconnect between like swimsuits that are cute and swimsuits that are functional. I feel like you have functional swimsuits that like, I mean, no offense to anyone if you like this, but just like are really like too modest or just like not as flattering or you know, in my opinion. And then you have really cute swimsuits that are like
Can't
fun
surf in
and
it.
cheeky and stuff, but it's like you go in the waves and it's just like off, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
well, that's cute to like lay out by the pool, but that's it.
Yeah.
So I really try to like bring that together of like, I want to do like prints and colors and things that are really fun and cute styles, but like it's not just to like lay out and tan. Like
Yes.
you can run around and play in the waves and surf in it. And
I do feel
that.
like that's a big difference between yours. And something else that I feel like sets yours apart is like, so if you guys didn't know, Heather and I used to live in the same house. And so we lived upstairs, they lived downstairs, so we would hang out constantly. And a lot of times, like, we would go over to Heather's house or something, and she would be, like, drawing her swimsuit or coloring her swimsuit patterns. And I feel like you're such a good artist that, like,
so nice.
she will draw
She
her
does her own
patterns,
designs.
and she does her own designs. So she makes the colors. She's like, do you like this color, this color? And you would constantly, like, bring us different colors to show us, like, all these different patterns. And I feel like that does set you apart because when I see your swimsuit, I almost can pick it out. I'm like,
it's like,
Heather
that's Heather.
did that.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank you.
And it's so cool. Like every pattern.
I do have to say, Brian
beautifully
has drawn a cup.
Okay, and Brian.
And Brian.
Let's talk
that's my
about
husband.
Brian for a second.
Let's talk about Brian.
Brian is helping a lot with sun bleach.
Yeah.
What do you feel like what do you think is the split between the two of you, like with the handling the business?
I feel like he does all the unsexy stuff. He does the accounting. He does like shipping, fulfillment. He manages all the like returns, like with our fulfillment center. He does literally everything I just hate doing. But he has like, he's a really good artist too. So he has helped with like the prints or like, I'm not the best at like the technology related to designing things. So sometimes I'll like design it, but I'm like hand it to him and I'm like, make this like a vector pattern or whatever, because like I don't know how to do that.
He is very creative.
So,
Derek still has some t-shirts that Brian like drew. He drew the design and then put it on a t-shirt, and they have been some of Derek's all-time favorite t-shirts.
That's so funny.
He continues to hold on to even though they're stained and ripped. And
classic boy.
yes.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And do you feel like you guys are you haven't delegated out to anybody else, as I'm concerned of, with like the company itself?
Yeah, like we don't currently like employ anyone technically, but we do have a fulfillment center. So like we like outsource that. And then I do hire out people for like one-offs. Like I have like a girl helping me with like the tech packs and patterns and stuff like that. And then we do have help with like customer service. I have hired out like social media stuff before. At one point I had one girl who was like making a lot of content for us, and she was great. Like she did nothing wrong, but it was kind of like the same girl showing up on the social media, you know? And I was like, I feel like if I took the budget I was paying her and like splitting it across different like UGC creators, that there would be a little more variety like in our content. So I hire out things like that, but it's pretty much just me and Brian.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
And then what would you say, like, if you could go back and talk to a young Heather who's starting this out and wanting to get this going, like, what advice would you give her?
Oh my gosh.
Where do you start? I feel like that's my question. Like, if someone's wanting to start a business,
my gosh.
or like, where did you start?
Yeah, I
Like,
will say, I think starting a swimsuit company now would be so much easier than when I started back then, because I think there's a lot more resources now.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like now I'm seeing content all the time. Like, there's a girl, it's called like Swimwear Startup. She fully puts out like courses and stuff on how to do it. I'm like, oh, I would have paid for that.
You're like,
5
that
years
would have been
ago.
helpful.
Yeah, I feel like 5 years ago it was very, very gate kept information. You literally could not even ask someone like, where do you manufacture?
Yeah.
Like all secret. And so yeah, it's insane. If I could go back, like I wish I could go back with the knowledge I have now for sure. But I just tell Bryant, like, I'm like, well, 4 years of making mistakes is still cheaper than getting like a degree at, you know, FITM or something.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like FITM I think is like $100,000
Holy cow.
Okay,
like of tuition.
I might be off.
It's
on
like
this.
Fashion
Is this-
Institute. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
was
that's
is
like
this
where
a-
most people go if they get a fashion
Okay.
degree.
So you feel like trial and error has been like your
Yeah,
key of, like,
totally.
this worked, this didn't
Yeah.
work.
But if I could go back, like just advice, like not to like tell myself like the nitty gritty details, but just like advice, I would be like, just keep at it. Like it'll work out. And like, I don't know. I wish I would have just started sooner, and I wish I would have trusted my gut more, because I think there was a few situations that set us back because I didn't trust my gut. And I think like, yeah, that's like totally what I do is like, you know, in your like gut what you should be doing. And yeah, I think that's the advice I would give.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being there when you were like starting out, and there was like some big decisions you had to make, and you're
we
like,
had like a business partner at first.
Yes.
And yeah.
can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I
don't
mean,
know how much you can
I mean,
say, but-
well, I mean, it's like water under the bridge, but we had a business partner and we just were super misaligned on, I think, like what our goals were. I was very like, I want these to be high quality. Like my name is on this. And I really wanted to put out like a good product. I did not want to launch until I knew that product was like basically perfect. And I don't blame them. I think that they had taken out like a loan and they were kind of feeling more like financial pressure behind it. And so they wanted to launch before we really like had a product. And I ultimately, it was just like, we're like not aligned and had to break it off. And that set us back a year because our contract was that we like couldn't start another swim brand for a year.
I remember
Where
that.
did you meet them? Like, how did the partnership
they just reached out. Yeah,
okay.
they reached out, but they kind of like had some mutual friends. So that's why like I trusted it and stuff. And like they're great people. That's not like nothing against them or anything.
It just wasn't what you were.
Yeah,
looking for.
I think we were just totally misaligned on like goals and stuff. So.
And I remember didn't you lose out on some money on that?
We lost a little bit of money on that. We lost the biggest chunk of change that we lost was our first year we were manufacturing in LA and we had a contact for the manufacturer there. So we weren't directly communicating with the manufacturer. Because like I said, everything's so gate kept.
Yeah. I remember nobody would tell you anything.
Yeah, no one would tell me anything. Shout out to like the brands that have told me things. Because there have been a handful of people. But yeah, so we had this like basically middleman and we kept saying like, how much do we owe you? How much do we owe you? They were super like not transparent about like what they were going to be charging for their services. And then at like the end of the swim season, they just like hit us with like a $25,000 like bill. Wow. Just all at once, and like for a tiny brand, it was just like, oh my gosh, that's everything. So much money. Yeah. And so we stopped manufacturing in LA after that. But yeah, like for sure, it's been expensive, like but it's still cheaper than a fashion degree.
Yes, yeah,
yeah. You've gone through lots of ups and downs, but do you feel like now Sunbleach is like in a good flow of things? You have it down.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like this year we really found our groove. Like the beginning of the year, I was so unsure of myself. But I went to this like women's retreat over the summer and it was with all these like business women and I gained so much confidence at that conference.
Good.
I think because I've just had this mentality of like, because I didn't get a degree, I just like assume that everyone knows what they're doing. Like, oh, they probably just have connections or they probably like know what they're doing. And at this retreat, like 99% of the people there were like exactly where I was at some point. Like they were like, no, we had no idea how to do that. Like we just like figured it out. We just watched YouTube tutorials. Like no one knows what they're doing. I think that was just like the most reassuring thing of like literally it's like a shiz show at every business. And like no one knows what they're doing.
Figuring it out along the way.
Started up.
But it was such a confidence booster because I would like tell them about my brand and they're like, what? Like in your first year? Like that's amazing. And I was like,
oh, wow.
I didn't know. And then so like I think this year was like totally like turned a corner for us of just like so much more confidence.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like honestly the difference between businesses that are successful and businesses that just like taper off is like when it gets hard, people like drop out. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
I wanted to.
This is too hard.
I wanted to drop out.
Did?
I had a moment this summer where I was like, we need to just sell this business.
No.
Like I'm so like over it. And
but I feel like from every successful business person that I've ever come in contact with, they're like, no, it like sucked and like I was gonna give up, but then I didn't, and then it becomes like this beautiful, successful, thriving business. Where
it's
I feel like
the work ethic.
You have to push past.
Because like so many people have ideas and they get little businesses started, but then it's like the ones that when it gets super hard, they just like quit.
Well, I think like some businesses, like something that I didn't expect to be hard with running a business is success can actually be hard too, because that's like what kind of almost why I wanted to I don't want to say I wanted to quit, but I was very much like, we need an exit strategy. Because like we hit a point this summer where I was like, we like are at a crossroads of like, either we keep it small and just keep doing what we're doing and we just never grow because we just can't take on more. Or we grow, but that means like, do we need to like move to LA and get an office and hire employees? Like that would be a drastic lifestyle change. And so like it's a good problem to have like growth and success, but it was really like, oh, like if we want to make this bigger, I'm just like staring at like the mountain that we have to climb. Does that make sense? And it was just like, oh, I don't know if I like want to climb that mountain. Like maybe I'm like chilling down here. So I think like ultimately we kind of decided on like an in-between of that of like, I am hiring out a lot more and I do want to grow, but I'm like fine if I'm not like the next Billabong. Like I think I'm very satisfied if like this supports my lifestyle and
that's what I was gonna ask is like what level of like how do you view success with Sunbleach? Like what is the end goal for you with Sunbleach?
I mean, I would love to like maybe sell it in like 5 or 10 years. I think that would be super cool and like start something new. And then like I said, like I don't necessarily feel like it has to be like the next huge swim brand, but like I consider success like, is my lifestyle being supported? Am I able to like support my family and like, is it still fun?
Yeah.
I think it
It's
would like
fulfilling.
lose the success for me if it was just like if I had to move to LA and like live a corporate life, I'm like, this is what I'm.
That defeats the purpose.
Yes, I'm like, I might as well just go get a corporate job.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Actually, though, your dad gave us really good advice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when we were talking
At Lake Powell?
At Lake Powell.
Oh,
yeah.
there we go.
I didn't know that Paul entered the chat.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
Paul enters the chat. No,
Paul.
we talked to him for like 2 hours, and he gave us such good advice. Like, we asked him so many questions.
Now
but
I'm curious. Tell me.
well, like one thing he said that like was just reassuring. Like I said, I think we just assume everyone knows what they're doing, and he was just like, oh, because we were asking him about like, should we look into investors, because that's like kind of our next step. And he was like, honestly, like if you want your business to be successful, you just have to accept that you're gonna like suffer for a while. And like, as much as that like kind of sucks to hear, it was also reassuring of just like, because your dad is obviously very successful. It was like, oh, like we just have to like, put our heads down, do the work, and like it's okay that we're gonna suffer for a while, because that's just what everyone has to do. Like, unless you're like a celebrity and just born into like
millions.
Well, and and my dad is very much like, he wants to do things himself, because he takes pride in like the jobs or the like companies that he started. He has a hard time delegating. That's why he's always so busy. I feel like that's kind of like you guys. Like, you're so good at what you do that it's hard to like give pieces of your baby away. Almost.
I know. I have though really tried to like delegate the stuff that I'm truly just not good at.
Yes.
Like, and it's already paid off. Like, I hired someone to do like tech packs and like designing stuff for me, and oh my gosh, saved so much time on like the sampling process and things like that. So but honestly,
at some point
like,
you have to give a little bit.
yeah,
like,
you do have to give a little, but I also do think that like there is
Control what you're good at.
There is something to be said though for just like, it's okay if it's not like an overnight success. Like, you just kind of got to put your head down and do the work.
Grind it out. Grind it out forever.
Yeah, but we'll be cruising, 5 years, sell sun bleach.
I'm sure. I know. You heard it here first. Sun bleach is going to be the next
Yeah,
one.
we'll see.
Oh, yeah. I feel it.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it in my bones.
I feel it. No, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me check my
And
thing.
us as your friends are very happy for you.
We're very proud
you're
of you.
so nice.
No,
I'm
watch
so
you.
lucky to have the best. Like, my friends are so supportive. I can't even believe it. Sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, my friends are the best.
No, like watching you, how it all started, and just like knowing how supportive you've been for us, and like you've literally been this like pillar of knowledge for everyone in our friend group. Like, you gave everything, and you never gate kept, and you were just like so encouraging.
so nice.
Yeah.
Like, and then to watch you transition into this like boss A B.
I can't swear.
We don't swear on this podcast.
I don't know if I can swear. Can I swear?
I don't know.
But you turned into this like, we already knew what you were. Like, you've always been that, but then just to watch you start this company and it's been so successful, and it screams Heather. It's just like exactly who you are is what this brand is.
Yeah.
And it makes me so happy, because it's just so true to who you are.
Thank you.
And a
I'm
cool
so-
thing to watch has been like the process. I feel like of
you guys
Heather
saw all the behind
transforming.
stuff.
And you we watched you make all these decisions of like going through the different life changes, and like, honestly, I feel like where you are now is like where you are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like,
Aw,
it
you're
is
so nice.
it is
For sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It feels good,
It
for
really
sure.
is. Okay, so if somebody were to like come up to you and wanting to start out a brand that's like in a super saturated, thing, and they're like nervous about starting it because it's so saturated, what would you tell them?
I would say, like, don't worry about the saturated thing, because to me, like, you are you and no one is like you. Like, no one will have your exact combination of opinions and talents and things like that. And so whatever you do, it will be unique if it's true to you, because you're just like, there's no one like you. And as far as just like starting something, I feel like in this day and age, like, brands really need a story. So whether that's like your personal story or just like the story of your customer, like, I would really focus strong on like, what's the story? Because there are so many brands out there, but people want to feel like they're part of like a community or part of like a certain vibe, like when they buy it. Like, I do that all the time. It's like, I buy from this brand because I want to be seen a certain way, or I want to be included in this like crowd of
This community.
people that I like. Yeah. So I think like focusing on that, like, first and foremost, and then secondly, like, focusing on just having a good product. I think if your product is good, people will just share it.
You don't have to worry.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if you have a good product, it's gonna get out there.
Yeah.
It's a good product.
Totally. And like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's so much I could say.
Yeah.
Like, take advantage of influencer marketing, take advantage of social media, like with TikTok and Instagram, there is so much potential to get your brand out there like never before.
Yeah.
Like I truly believe like anyone can start a brand.
Yeah.
And like if you have a good product, like
Yeah.
there's so much power to get your product out there for free.
Just even think about like random things that I see on TikTok that like blow up. Like brands that were not known one day and then they're like viral every
out.
night. Like you just have to put it out there.
You never
even
know.
if it's scary. Like
And some people like think like it has to go viral to be successful.
No.
But think about it. Like if you had a video on TikTok get 1,000 views, that seems so small.
but that's 1,000 people.
1,000 people.
That
If you
could
had a
potentially
store,
buy your thing.
If you had a store and 1,000 people saw
Yes.
your product, people used to pay millions for that
Yes.
kind of audience.
Yes.
And
That
now you
is
have
so wild how our brains have skewed.
You have that at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like
gosh.
it's there
That's
for
so
you
true.
to use. I feel like Laura and I even have some
Chills.
chills. We have chills and goosies.
We have chills in the building.
We didn't even say that we're filming in Hawaii right now.
Yeah.
I love that. Like
Oh my gosh,
we are not
right.
in our normal setup. I'm sorry, this is just so off topic. But I realized you had chills, and I was like, why do we have?
Why do we have
right
gels?
now? Because your AC is blowing.
We are in Hawaii right now,
Yes.
and that's where Heather currently
Yes.
resides.
Yeah.
Hence why Lauren and I are sharing a microphone because
We forgot a plug.
we forgot some plugs. We forgot the
fine.
tripod and the plugs, so
We're makeshifting over here.
It's
but it's
very
chill.
Hawaii-esque.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No shoes. You know what I mean?
anyway, I was saying I think it's funny because Lauren and I even have some family members that are like, whether it's like hair or like another thing that they're trying to get into, and we're like, just post about it. Like, you don't know what could happen, and it's just like, if you aren't willing to put it out there, then it's going to be hard to like.
It's
Get your
scary in the
business
beginning
going.
though. So many
Yes.
people are like, it's so,
So
hard.
scary.
I heard something that like really changed my mindset about it.
What?
Like, I think a lot of people are scared of like putting themselves out there. It's embarrassing. People make fun of you if you're like, oh, they're trying to be an influencer.
Yeah.
But I saw this TikTok where the guy was like, posting is showing yourself that you deserve to take up space. Like you deserve to take up space and you deserve to like have a place in the world. And I was like, well, that's so true.
I love that.
That's
like
amazing.
people really like you deserve to have like a space where you can be yourself.
And every influencer and every person that
We all started off as cringy.
You
Oh,
start
don't
off,
worry. Yeah.
and sometimes I'm still cringing, like at myself. But like you just have to put it out there, and like you have to start it somewhere. No one starts with like a bajillion followers.
Yeah,
Like you just
totally.
have to start.
I remember
Yes.
like when I first started like actually consistently posting photos of us in like Hawaii and doing all this stuff. I remember like people like my best friends from back home like reaching out to me and being like, you know, like these people are talking about you and these people, you know, like I'm worried, are you gonna change like all these things?
yeah.
And I remember feeling like I was sobbing, just like my friends are like talking bad about me because I'm like posting on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I had to like I was talking to Heather about it actually. Do you remember when this all
I
happened?
remember, yeah.
And I was just like so sad and distraught because I'm like, these are my best friends and like they're like making it seem like this is the end of the world, like that I'm posting. And it wasn't like the cool thing to do. Like people all back home were just like, "This is so cringy." You
I mean,
know,
we
like it wasn't
still
cool.
get that. That's
we
the
still
thing.
get that.
Like, we
Oh,
still,
100%.
it's like it doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like you just
always.
told me, you were just like, okay, well, what does that matter? Like are you happy with what you're posting? Like, do you like your like? Just
and like
do
a true
it.
friend will be supportive.
Yeah, and you were like, we have you, like we have your back, and like we love you, and it doesn't matter what they think. And I was like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I'll keep going. But
Yeah,
it doesn't
totally.
matter what
Yeah.
people say, and your true friends will, you
Exactly.
know, show up
Also,
for you.
honestly, there are so many people I feel like that have like made fun of me in my life, and they're asking for advice 5 years later.
That's
How do I
so
start an
true.
Instagram?
It doesn't.
I've noticed that too. Is like people would have made fun of us for posting, and then like 5 years down the road, they're like,
Like,
"Hey,
so I
I
have a
started this
business."
company. Can
Yeah.
you post about
Oh,
it for
yes.
free?"
If that
Oh
doesn't
my
ring
gosh.
true,
That is so true.
Yes, like there are so many people.
And you're like, wait, I
can think of.
remember
Yeah.
when you were
Yes.
picking at
totally.
me.
and
So
then they're like, oh, so
Or
I
like I
started this
think about
business.
like
I'm
YouTube
okay.
back in the day. Like I feel like people got made fun of for having like a YouTube channel.
Yes.
But man, if you started YouTube 10 years ago, you would literally be a celebrity now.
Yeah.
Like the
Yes.
people who started YouTube 10 years ago are celebrities now.
Yes.
I'm like,
And they were made fun of.
They were
like,
made
they were
fun
fully
of.
made fun
Yeah.
of. So I'm
But
like,
it's
who's
like,
laughing
who's
now?
laughing?
Who's laughing? Yeah.
So moral of the story is just
Yeah.
start.
Do it.
Start
Yeah,
somewhere.
totally.
Who cares what people think?
Yeah.
Just
If you
get
wanna
yourself
do
out
it.
Post
there.
about your product, post about your brand, post about your life, whatever like speaks to you.
This rings very true to our brand.
Yeah.
So we just-
Okay, me too.
Yeah,
Can't
my
do
Tally
anything
just
without
walked
a
through the
baby.
door. I think she's going night with him.
It's Nine Island
It's
time.
It's going on.
How do you feel like balancing being a mom with sun bleach has been, especially because, I mean, you have Bindi, who's like almost a year old.
Yeah.
Like, what has that been like for you?
Girl, I'm still figuring it out.
I know. Aren't we all?
Yeah. I do feel like it's hard because when I was an influencer, there was part of me that would feel like, oh, well, like, I'm spending time with my kids because like I'm showing my life, and my life is like being a mom.
Yeah.
And like everyone's different. I feel like everyone finds their balance in their own way. But for me, I felt like, okay, I feel like I'm spending the time I am spending with my kids. I'm like filming them, or I'm on my phone a lot. And then I would feel bad. And then I'd be like tired from work. And the last thing I want to do is play with my kids more. So like, that was just like, I know that's not everyone's experience, but that's kind of how I was feeling. And the nice thing with sun bleach is it does feel a little bit more like clock in, clock out. And so I have like set hours with like our nanny that comes, and great. I'm able to like just take that time and just like work hard. And a lot of that work is like on the computer. So I feel like it just feels a little bit more like, I don't know. I'm like honed in on like I'm working. Yes. Whereas before, like I feel like work and life blended a lot.
Yeah.
And I would feel like, oh, I'm at the beach. I should probably like get some content because I need to post an ad later. So it was just like, it was harder to find balance. I think it's possible to find balance, but it was for sure harder to find balance. Whereas with sun bleach now, having the set hours with the nanny, and I just like, you know, if I have a shoot or something, I just plan it ahead of time. And I think that's
really
definitely
important
how I found
when you
balance.
have kids, and especially to show your kids that when you're not working, like you're with them.
Totally,
and you're present with them. Like this is work time. This is
where we put the phones
time.
Away.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And because I'm not like spending work time playing with my kids, I feel like I don't get as, that sounds so bad, burnt out playing with my kids. But you know, if you're a mom, you get it. Like,
you get it.
You can't play all day. Yeah. Everyone needs a little bit of a break. And so like if I'm playing all day but like kind of working on my phone, I feel like I just want to break later. But then my kids don't get the time with me that isn't working.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's been a better balance for me for sure.
That's good.
Really good.
Yeah.
And how do you deal, here's my next question for you, is how do you deal with people, do people come at you for being like a working mom, I guess? And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I deal with it a ton online as much. I do feel like though, and I'm sure you guys can relate, like I come from a very like conservative background, and like from like family members or just like kind of back home. And my mom worked growing up, so like not really directly from my parents, but just for sure, like I come from a place where like if a girl got a degree or a job, it was as like, just in case.
Just in case
your husband dies.
The husband keels over.
Yeah, or like, it was always kind of that mentality of like, your career isn't going to be like a big part of your life. Whereas like, it fully is. Like, I love being a mom, but like, my career is also so fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's so fulfilling and so fun. And like, I want to work forever. I love it. And we like, I feel like we give that privilege to men, and we don't like let women have that same thing.
I was having this conversation. I think we were talking about this earlier because I like just had the thought and realization that I never pictured, because I was talking to Maddie Castellano about this.
Yeah.
She had told me like I had always wanted to be like a stay-at-home mom like later on. And I had never had that thought of like, I've always thought I will be working. Like I never had the I won't have a job thought. Yeah. And I was like, that's interesting that like, I think probably because my mom still works today. Yeah. She's worked a full-time job since I've been born. She's a single mom. And she even worked when they were together. My parents were together. Yeah. And so I think since I grew up just seeing them both work, I just always thought, well, I'm always going to have a job too. Yeah. So totally. I never even thought of myself without a job.
Well, I think for me as a kid, I naturally had like, I dream of being this. I want to do this. Like, I think I had those dreams as a kid. And I think as an adult, it's almost like reality sets in. And I had a lot of comments when I was a photographer. I had a lot of comments that were like, oh, that's like a good career to have with kids. You can like do that on the side with your kids. And like men never get those comments. I don't think a man has ever gotten a comment like that. Whereas like, I'm like, wait a second, like they're fathers too. Yeah. Why is no one giving
Why no one's like, oh, that's a good career. Yeah, where's no one's like,
cute, Brian, you got a marketing degree. That'll be a really good side job while you're a dad. Yeah. Never. That has never happened to him. But I think that happens to every girl. Yes. Just like, oh, that's like a good side job while you have kids. Or like, or that's a good career to have as like a backup if something ever happens. Yeah. And it's like, why can't
even a lot of our close family members have made like totally like that. It's just totally normal.
Yeah. And like I don't blame them. Like no hate towards them. I literally just think it's how we were raised.
It's totally. Yeah.
But I think it's shifting. Like I think our generation definitely is more open minded to like But I do feel like on the flip side, there's almost like I feel like I'm caught quite I feel like I'm caught right in the middle, because on the flip side, I feel like maybe not in our conservative community that we grew up, but kind of more like out in the world and like online, there is almost like a look down upon motherhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of just like, oh, like she's just a mom, or she like doesn't have anything. Like, I feel like there's totally like both sides to it. Like,
and I think that stay-at-home mom is honestly the harder job.
Oh, it's harder. It's a break. It's work.
Literally,
it's literally a break to work.
I think that stay-at-home moms are literally born to be that role, because I'm just like, that is so hard.
So much work
to be like the.
Yeah. It's just emotionally.
It's mentally and physically just like
totally.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Totally.
So shout out to our husbands too, that like
to
do a
the
lot of
dads.
that. They do a lot of that for us
Yeah.
so that we can work, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're also good with the kids, which is pretty rare.
I
We
know.
get
We're
really
really
lucky.
lucky with that. Yeah, I feel like I'm totally like in the middle. Like, do you guys
Yeah.
feel that way?
I
Where
feel
like
that.
I feel like
half and
sometimes I
half.
have to defend like the motherhood side of things, especially like I think a lot of people out in the world consider us like very young moms,
Yes.
which is funny because in the community I grew up in, I feel like an older mom.
Yeah.
Like people had kids at 18.
Yeah,
When where I'm from.
I'm not done with kids before I'm 30. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be turning 30, and I'm not done with kids
Yes,
yet.
exactly. And I'm like outside of that community, I'm like people literally have kids like in their late 40s.
Yes,
Like,
like their
Totally.
first kid.
Yeah, totally.
Honestly, I do think that might be a little harder. More tasking on the body.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can barely
Little
keep up
tiring.
with my kids, and I'm still in my
that's
20s.
True. Yeah, I feel like you just gotta like pick the timing that's right for you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it is
totally.
funny, like the perspective totally changes like what community you're in. Because like I have like people I know who are like mostly stay-at-home mom, and I feel like there's people who like look down on them.
Yeah.
Of just like they're
Which
just a
is
mom.
crazy because it is so
Yeah.
hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard job for sure.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing about being the owner of Sunbleached?
Oh, I love taking photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the photo shoot.
That's always been like, I feel like your thing.
Yeah.
Like you just are good at it.
Heather could
period.
quite literally be shooting for National Geographic.
No.
I believe that with my whole heart.
Oh yeah. National Nat Geo, you know.
I would put money on this.
No, it's just like you
It's you.
you can make anything look good with a
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, you're
you really
so
can.
nice.
With a phone camera, with a camera, with any camera.
Yeah, I have so much fun on photo shoots. Like I love planning the location, and like I do like designing the product. Designing it is so fun, coming up with the idea, but all the in between of like designing it
hard.
to making it come to life is so hard and so draining. But when you're shooting it, it's so nice to see it just like
In real life.
The product
When
is
you
here.
finally see the photos, that is probably
and
the
it
best.
looks good on the model,
Yes.
and you like pick the location
And the pictures, and you're just like,
Yeah.
this is great
Yeah.
product.
Well, and then this last year, I love shooting with like, we shoot with lots of like normal girls, you know? But like this last year, I actually like hired a couple of like legit models, like from an agency, like models that I see on like Free People and stuff.
That's sick.
Literally game changer.
That's
They know what
amazing.
they're
I'm like,
doing.
They just
oh.
get up there and you're like,
There's
I
a-
just shoot. I just
yeah.
click the button.
There's a reason people get paid to model like
Yeah.
good money, because I'm like, whoa, night and day difference of just like someone who just like looks good at every angle, and they're just
Yeah.
like bam, 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 like all these poses.
That's
So that was
wild.
like a cool experience for me to really shoot like legit models.
awesome.
Yeah, that is
But,
cool.
yeah.
Well, we are coming. I can't believe the hours always go by so fast when we're talking. Do you feel like that?
Oh,
And
yeah.
like we're just
Yeah.
chatting with our
I know.
best
I feel
friend.
like we could talk forever.
I guess my last question for you would be, do you see yourself staying here on the island for the next little bit? Do you see yourself moving off the island? People are always so curious
Yeah.
about that. But with you running Sunbleach,
Yeah.
this is kind of an epic
Do
location
you feel like
for that.
you can
Yeah.
still run the business here
Oh yeah.
long term?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we did the moving thing a few years ago, as you guys know. Literally, we were going to move, and Lo and Tanner made us cry, which is ironic, because now you guys moved.
It's messed up.
They made us cry.
That is
You can't
messed up.
leave.
We were, like,
and it
sobbing. We're
fully
like, you
put us
can't
off,
leave.
like, moving a year. We wanted to move because we just, like, always wanted to try it, and, like, we just needed to see. We needed to try it for ourselves, but
Yeah.
we hightailed it back after 6 months.
6 mo's. And they were back.
Yeah, and honestly though, moving was such a pain and kind of expensive to like put all of our stuff back in a pod and things like that. And it was also like kind of scary to like, are we gonna have housing when we get back? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like it was during COVID and like the rent went way high.
Yeah.
And so yeah, no, I do not see myself moving in the
Yeah.
foreseeable future. I would
Yeah.
love to stay here as long as I can. But me and Bryant talk about like one day when we're like empty nesters or something, it'd be fun to like go live in Europe or Australia.
yeah.
Like,
I can totally
think that
see
would be
that.
cool.
Travel
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
and not have the kids on the 18-hour flight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
little babies.
Yeah, for sure. What about you guys? You guys moving back? I I'm trying to convince them to move back.
That is very, yeah.
Wait,
TBD.
TBD.
determined.
Did I say?
Yeah, you said it right.
Okay.
I said it right.
TBD.
Yeah.
We're not going to answer that right now. Right here, right now in this hot seat. We are not going to be diving into that.
Yeah. But it's been so nice.
We won't say it won't ever happen.
Yeah, we won't say it never. That's for sure. Oh my gosh, look, our toes are even like kind of pink and creamy.
Oh, please
right
don't
now.
look at my toes. Oh, they're so long. Anyway, Heather, thank you so much for being our first guest.
Our first guest.
I feel like
You're
I need
the
to
best.
finish off with a fun fact.
Yeah,
Okay, yes, please.
But I just said that I don't have one.
Oh no.
Okay, no, she's
do you want
got
me
one.
to-
Give her
wait,
1
I can
second.
trigger you. I can trigger you with just like talking about something. You'll know
Toes.
it.
Like if I said rocks, volcanoes.
I know. Flowers. Ocean. Reef.
Creatures.
Let me give some trigger. Palm trees. Coconuts.
Shells.
Oh, you have
Here
one?
she goes.
You have one?
Here she goes.
I just recently found out that like coconut trees aren't native to Hawaii.
What?
Yeah, they were brought by Polynesians.
What?
Wait, from
crazy?
where?
From where Polynesians came from. Polynesians
They
came
they
from
planted the coconut.
like they
tree
just
here?
brought like Polynesians when they came to Hawaii. They brought bananas and taro and coconuts and chickens and pigs.
Okay, I knew the
I knew
chicken
the chickens
thing.
Yeah,
came
yeah.
from the... Wait, I thought they
Yes.
came from the Big Island or something.
They came from Polynesians. Like
That's
so
so
Polynesians
funny.
like, migrated, like Moana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came from like I think before they were in Hawaii, they were in Tahiti. And like when they came here, they like brought those from like
That
their
is
homeland.
Honestly, Tahiti
Yeah.
is the land of the gods. They just take everything
gosh.
from Tahiti and bring it back to the island.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that just surprised me. I thought that like
That is a
coconut trees
really
just feel very
interesting
like
thing.
of course that would be here, but no, they were brought. So they have
You know,
Really
honestly,
weird.
I have this weird fear that every time I'm by a coconut tree, it's going to
coconut's
fall off
gonna
and
fall.
kill me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why.
I
That
didn't
is-
know that was a thing until like a neighbor told us when we were walking to a beach that had like these huge palm fronds and like all these coconuts loaded up.
Say
They're like
palm frond
yeah.
again.
palm frond.
Say it again.
Palm frond.
Palm frond.
Palm frond.
Okay, wait. I have another crazy fact.
And I was always scared the coconut was gonna hit my head.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, those fall.
Yeah,
Better watch out.
crazy.
And I was like, oh.
Wait, I have another crazy fact
What?
related to this. There's like Rapa Nui is like Easter Island, the island that's down south. It's also a Polynesian island, but they have sweet potatoes there, and sweet potatoes are from South America.
What?
Did
Like-
they plant the sweet potato?
No,
in-
like that means they literally had like Polynesians had contact with South America, which is crazy because
Wait, so-
Polynesians came from Asia. That means like they crossed the
does she know this?
seas.
Yeah, I don't know.
They
Okay,
literally
honestly-
crossed the ocean with the stars and somehow made it all the way to South America
And brought the sweet
and
potatoes
got sweet
with them?
potatoes.
That's so
And just
wild.
like yeah, like they don't know how exactly. They just think that there must be some connection because like sweet potatoes aren't native to anywhere that Polynesians came from, but they're native
Weird.
to South America.
That actually is
That's actually
mind-blowing.
crazy.
Yes.
They were foragers.
Foragers?
They were voyagers.
Voyagers. What did I say? That's a true love Easter
No,
fact right there.
and Moana.
Heather
They were
keeps us
voyagers.
humble.
They were voyagers.
Yeah. I love that
Is
movie.
it a forager? They go through the
Yeah, what's
trees?
a forager?
Don't they like go through
Forager?
trees?
No, I
Here she
know.
goes.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Foragers like looking for like berries and nuts.
Okay,
and things
Yes,
in the
yes.
forest.
I was
Yeah.
They
thinking
were
in the
voyagers.
forest.
Yeah.
Voyagers.
They were voyagers. That's
Heather
a line
keeps
from
us
Moana.
humble.
Moana.
Yeah.
Thank
Heather
you. Thank
always
you for-
keeps us humble, literally, in this regard. Because
I'm
we'll
always
say,
calling out low for
Yeah,
phrases.
my made up words. And
Wait,
stuff.
what was it last night?
Oh, I said, let it lie where it may.
I was like, that's not a phrase.
Wait, she's like, what? And I was like, what? Like, I like also had to question, like, did that make sense? And then
Wait,
I
but
said
those you mixed two phrases. Or
what did you think I'm saying? From
now
let it
I'm
lie
very
where it may?
confused
Right?
because this
It's
is
like,
the
what
thing.
phrase
That,
is that?
this is the thing that Lauren does to me is I know what I'm talking about, and then Lauren says something that's completely like wackadoo. And then I start believing what Lauren's saying. So
She's
now I
gaslighting
can't.
you.
Well,
This
yeah,
is
it's
The
like
thing about
silent
me
gaslighting.
is I know half of stuff. So it's like, as long as I get half of it out, people know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But as long as, like, I don't.
I feel like I complete your thoughts a lot.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to say this halfly, and people are going to know that what I'm trying to say.
Okay, but now I'm
I
really
can't-
confused.
The knowledge is in
Let
there.
it
It's just
lie.
fragmented.
Let it lie
it
where it
lie.
may. Remember,
And-
we came up with what I was trying to say. It was like, what was I
It
trying to
turned
say?
into like the balls in your court.
Yeah, the ball's in your court, but it was also like, let it. Wait,
No, it is a
Let the
phrase.
ball lie where it lay. What's the what the
A card laid is a card played.
card blade is a card blade.
Yeah, I
no,
don't know.
Yeah. We gotta close
you know,
this out.
I know,
We
but
gotta
let me think of
close
the freaking line. No, what did Tanner say? He was like,
Tanner.
no, Bryant said it. Remember?
Lay it where it lies.
Play it
where it lies.
Where it lies.
And I was mixing that with it is what it is, kind of.
Yeah.
I would have never got that.
Let it lie where it may, people.
Anyway, that was
great.
That was great.
Thanks so much for coming on our pod.
Thank you. I'm
We love you
honored
so
to be the
much.
first guest.
Yes.
Fairly Odd Sisters.
And make sure you guys
Fairly
check
Odd
out, really go check out Sunbleach if you want the cutest, best
Quality.
swimsuits ever. Really great quality. And Heather's amazing. She puts her heart and soul into the company. So just
Go check 'em out.
Go check them out.
You need a new swimsuit.
Sunbleach Swim.
Sunbleach Swim right here.
Right here. You heard it here first. All right. We love you guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.